The Taranaki Chamber of Commerce has been working alongside Learner Me, Te Heru Māpara and Venture Taranaki on Tech Step, a nationwide initiative to encourage various demographics into a career in digital technology. You are about to watch coverage of our first event as part of this initiative, and you will hear from 4 individuals at various stages of their career in digital tech who will share with you why they chose this sector as a career.
Mate ora guys, as mentioned before, my name is Shakalia and we'll be starting off with a brief introduction of what sparked our interest into the tech sector. So starting off with Cassio.
Hello everyone, my name is Cassio. I started my tech career at Learner Me doing, I believe, the first cohort on the Hangaro Aparanga program. So that was where we were learning the basics of tech while working on creating, can I say this?
Yeah, go for it.
Creating a website for Taranaki Iwi. Through there I ended up moving to do design work. So I did a lot of graphic design. I think it was level 4, something like that. And now I've moved on to web development. So I'm working on my certificate and diploma. What sparked my interest? I honestly was just looking for something to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I had heard about Learner Me and I was like, oh, this is quite interesting. I'd always enjoyed design but never really got the chance to delve into it really deep because it wasn't something that was offered at school when I was there. And so I gave it a go, and 3-4 years later I'm now working in the design field. So, yeah.
With Taranaki Iwi.
With Taranaki Iwi.
My introduction to the tech sector started at high school because it was one of the subjects I picked for my tech option, and I just continued that through all of high school just because I was good at it.
And you loved the teacher?
Yeah, I did like my teacher, one of my favourites. But yeah, I just continued on with it because I got good marks and top of my class. So, and currently I'm studying at Learner Me doing a diploma in web development, and that's my journey. Christian.
Kia ora. I'm Christian. I'm the facilitator at Learner Me. I facilitate a few of our programs from Hangaro Akaranga to our NCQA programs and even our high school program at Tech Academy. I think it kind of sparked my interest in technology. When I was a kid, I played a lot of video games, so it kind of started there. The real spark of it kind of started kicking off maybe toward the end of high school, because throughout high school it was really, really, I guess, limited in what was available, whether it be resourcing for the actual computers or the software that we would learn was very
Old school.
Yeah, old school, or even just limited to the basic Microsoft package worth of software, which at the time was not great. But yeah, after I left high school and went into tertiary study, I just figured technology looked cool. There wasn't much else I was too interested in at that point in time, so I just went with a certificate in IT and followed that on with a diploma in IT, and that is really where I got to explore a fair bit more into technology and kind of get a grasp of some of what's out there. And then I went to attempt a bachelor in Hamilton. That didn't go well. No, there was a few issues that came up with that regarding mental health and just other issues with tackling life in a way that probably wasn't the smartest. But a couple of years after coming back here to Taranaki, COVID hit, and I had to go on to the benefit to get that monetary support. And then I, not even like a week on Job Seeker, I heard about this cool IT Pro Camp, which I took a little too literally. And I thought we were going to go camping and learn about technology. No, we didn't go camping. We went to this place called Performac and Learner Me. And that's where I met Simon on a really foggy day. And the training kind of went from there. He thought I was pretty good. After he recommended I do software, most of the time I'd had an interest in hardware technology. But he said I'd do software, and I thought, ooh, I don't know. Did it anyways.
It worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. I got a job in a month and a half. Yeah, and then it's kind of gone from there, working with AppHQ, and then I'm back in LearnerMe now.
Yeah, hi, kia ora everyone. I'm Simon. I am the CEO for LearnerMe, and also LearnerMe is part of a group of companies, all technology-based companies, 8 of them. And I would say my journey, I'm a bit further away from Shakalia, 15 years ahead of her maybe. So I've been in the industry for a while. I've done my studies and then also worked, and now I run the business, and we've got about 30 odd employees in the group, one of the biggest technology companies in the region for Taranaki. LearnerMe's perspective, or the reasoning why we set up LearnerMe, so we've got 7 other companies all doing different things, from hardware to software to branding and design and marketing and startups and innovation, pretty much anything to do with tech. But right at the start, the oldest company was Performax, set up back in 1989. And when I joined the company, there wasn't much of any technology pathway in the region. So for our learners in the region, I obviously moved from Hamilton here when I got the job. But yeah, the pathways in the region was one program at the Polytech, all hardware related and nothing software or any other interest that if someone had it. So we were looking at growing the company in the mid 2010s, so 2014, 2015. And considering there is no pathway, we were getting gateway and pathway students at work coming in and doing some work experience, and all of them would say they would move out of the region because there is nothing here. And we were going, well, if everyone's going to move out of the region, how are we going to get any kind of skilled people or talent for us to grow? And that's basically where the idea of LearnerMe came around. And now I currently have about 50 odd students. Most probably the next February intake will have more than that, which has really improved our ability to get access to skilled people. With just under 30 employees, and out of those 30 employees, 15 of them are actually ex-LearnerMe students, including Christian, who started the first program that we started with. So yeah, really passionate about technology and education, and how both of them really bridge themselves.
What kind of challenges did you face transitioning from HA into working at Taranaki Iwi?
Oh, good question. For me, the part that I quite struggled with was I didn't know a lot about my Māori side. I was very detached from that side. I think it's because my mother's a part of what you call the lost generation, where it was kind of that time where they weren't allowed to be very proud and speak their language, and that kind of passed on to us because we never heard it around the house. And so I didn't know a lot about my whakapapa as well. Like, I wasn't sure where I came from. I knew I was Taranaki Iwi, but I didn't know where my marae was or where my family was from. And so going into working for Taranaki Iwi, I was like, are they going to think I'm a part of them? Like, if I don't know where I am along the Taranaki coast. And so that was a real struggle for me, but they were very welcoming and actually helped me learn that information as well. And also learning that graphic design isn't always the same when you're working with an iwi as well. You need to be very careful about what you're working with and making sure, like I also found out that an image of the maunga from Stratford isn't the same maunga that Taranaki Uri see on their side of the mountain. So it's learning small things like that I never knew beforehand. So I was very careful a lot when I first began working there, but their support just helped me with my confidence to kind of expand and feel free to be like, what do we think about this? Those kinds of things. So, yeah.
See, that's a really really important thing to know, and that's really shows why diversity in the sector is really important, because a normal person wouldn't have any idea about the view of the manga is how important that is. That's only if there's a person from the URI who's actually participating in the sector would be able to go through and say, hey, this is not right, this is the right way of dealing with it. So that's the reason why diversity is so important, and not just similar sort of looking people in the sector.
I also learned a lot in the Hangaro Akuranga program, working with, once we created the website that we were going to show to Taranaki iwi, they also stated that when using the maunga, they didn't want anything on top of the maunga, because that was the focal point. That's what they wanted to show, that, this is what we're looking at, and not putting things on it to take away from that. And, in design, it's very rare that you're not allowed to put things on other things, I found. And so, yeah, just learning the differences on how to use certain things and when certain things are meant to just be, this is it.
And obviously we've all been through study to get to this point, but throughout that journey, were there significant mental obstacles that you had to overcome through your education?
I've only really had sport and tech have been the two big things that have been a part of my life. And for sport, it has always come easy to me. Like, it was very easy to be good at sport, and I kind of struggled with that a bit at the end, because I felt, I was getting a bit older and there was a lot of new girls coming in that were quite younger, and I relied too heavy on being naturally good instead of working hard for that. And so when I kind of fell out of that, I found tech, and at the Hangaro Akuranga program came quite easy to me, because it was learning basics again, and I was like, oh, this is awesome, this is great. Design was a bit trickier, but the tutor that I had was very good at answering all my 100 million questions that I had. And but when I moved into web development, where it was a lot more code, I really struggled, because it never came easy to me. It still doesn't come very easy to me. I had to work really hard at it, and even when I worked hard for it, I found like it still wasn't coming to me like it should have. And so trying to get over that obstacle of like pushing through, doing all this work, and it's still not either making sense to me or not, coming to me easy, it was really hard. And I'm not someone who likes to ask for help a lot. I like to just try and work through it. And so, Christian is a great tutor, but I just felt like he's a teacher in my head now. Like, I had known Christian before that, and I could have asked him questions, but being in a tutor role was quite different. And so I think it was like a couple months of not asking for help, and I was struggling really bad, to the point where I didn't even want to do the course anymore. And I had to sit down with the, what do you call it? What's Nicola?
Student pastoral care.
The pastoral care and Christian, and they were like, kind of just let me know that it's okay to struggle, and that it's okay to ask for help as well. Like, that's why they're there, is to answer all of the questions that we had. And so I stuck to it, and it's still very hard, but I think them coming to me being like, it's okay to not be great at something, like it's going to take a while for all of this to sink in. And so now I'm asking Christian 10 million questions a day. He probably doesn't love it, but he doesn't make me feel like, okay, I'm done with all your questions, go back and do your work. Like, he's happy to answer all of those questions.
Still got a whole wall to break down before I get to that.
Great, awesome. I'll ask you 20 million questions down there.
How do you envision the future of the tech sector in our region, and are there any local tech initiatives that excite you?
I would say future of tech in the region is going to be good, and hopefully we will play a small part of it, all of us, and a lot of people that will be watching this. We do need a lot of people in tech, because there isn't anything like, you look at any of the the big thinking projects that we're talking about, whether it's branching out from Venture Taranaki, whether it's Taranaki 2050, Tapawairoa, like any of the big thinking projects, whether it's a smaller 5-year, 2-year project or a 50-year long, in the future thinking project, everything needs tech. There isn't a technology, even when we are saying we're going to move away from energy, from the oil and gas sort of things to renewable energy and things like that. When you think about those things, they're all technology based. When we talk about, hey, let's not just look at dairy and meat, maybe let's figure out some other ways, other crops we can grow in the region. How do we do that? It's all based on we're going to need the right tech to understand, is the soil right, so we can actually use and customize that for the region, whether it's the iwi objectives for what the iwi wants to achieve, and not just one, all of them. They're all environment related and taiao related sort of objectives that they've got. And if you think about how are they going to be implementing that, how are they going to find out, how are they going to measure the success that they have? Are the waterways cleaner? Are we creating more water pollution or soil pollution or whatever? All of that would need tech. So there isn't anything that we won't need tech in, and I think that's the most important part for us. So having our young people, and we were talking about it today that some of the interns at work at the moment, at one point in their school there were like 2 or 3 people in Digitechs in their school, and you're going 3 people in Digitech, there are more people in woodworking than Digitech. Whereas we would need digital technology for everything. So you want to be a lawyer, you need tech. You want to be a doctor, you need tech. You want to be an accountant, you need tech. Like there isn't anything that you don't need tech in, but for some reason we're still going down with it. So numbers are going down. So we need to be able to go through and do that part. So I would say that's good. Initiatives like this, Taranaki on its own, we punch way above our weight. And when we look at how many things that we're doing, like Auckland doesn't have a 2050 plan, right? We do. So there is a lot of big picture thinking and small thinking or short-term thinking, I should say, detailed thinking that we are doing right now. We just need to put them in action more. And I think there are a lot of local initiatives that are coming through. We're working on literacy and numeracy initiative at the moment with Te Heru Māpara. And that's a really different way of looking at how you would teach literacy and numeracy to people. Same thing with tech, we've been doing a good job, but I think for Learname's perspective, we can even do a better job. There's a lot of things that we would like to change and improve and make better, and engagement could be better. And then us as a tech sector, I think as well, there is a lot that we need to do to reach out to the students and reach out to the learners when they are intermediate school rather than just in the secondary school, and explain to them how they can do it, what other things they can do. And there is space for everyone.
Mm. Speaking of that, bringing students into the tech sector, if you're a teacher, how would you inspire rangatahi to move into the tech sector and take up a job within this sector?
Me? Teacher. I most probably, looking at, again, like I said before, it's all about teaching context or giving the young ones context. So when people don't understand why they're learning something, they tend to not keep it or retain it, right? If they can apply that knowledge into something, whether it's a real world project and there's this thing where, back in the early 90s when we were building big things, the dads will, walk their kids and say, hey, I did that, or I helped build this, or I helped build that. And I think it needs to be very similar for the tech sector as well. Like there could be an app that 15 people in the region might have worked on, and they can say, hey, we made that, and this is that impact. Like Christian worked on an app for Big Brothers Big Sisters that everywhere, or every Big Brothers Big Sisters branch in the country is using that app. So now when he talks about it or he teaches people about it, they're going, are you like seriously? Everyone that's using it, every single mentor, every single young person that Big Brothers is servicing is using that app to deliver that service. So that's a huge impact, which is hard for any other industry to really do that. Like with tech, the reach is bigger. So that part, and not thinking about it in a smaller context, but thinking about what is the big thing. The big beauty of New Zealand is that everything is accessible. So we can walk into our member of parliament's office. That's something that you can easily do. And what that sort of shows us is that even though we are in a small Taranaki, we can actually make big changes. So by using tech. So that would be my thing, is to really show to them or explain to them, you can do a lot. And us as a country, we do a lot. In the whole global landscape, New Zealand's got a really good technology landscape as such, or standing, I would say.
And you, Christian, already being a teacher, how would you inspire our rangatahi?
I think just based on the experiences I had when I was in like high school and stuff like that, some of the issues of not having access are still present today in a lot of schools, which really limits a lot of the perspective of rangatahi and our tamariki of like what's actually possible with tech. It's like a lot of them will be like, I can play video games, I watch TV, do all this, use social media, all of that stuff. Make a funny TikTok, doing a dance on the street. That's very, very little of what's possible with tech, and it's more in the entertainment area more than anything. Actually putting into their perspective, you could go make the game, you could go make the application that lets you do a little funny dance for all those people.
Who wants to do a funny dance?
I don't know. Like just introducing what is possible, and really like providing example and like maybe even showcasing like what can be done with like something like software development, showing the inside of a computer and showing off componentry and how different things work together. Even that is enough to astonish people pretty quickly. Like they're like, oh, that's what's in there. That's cool.
Even new tech, like if the technology that they're working on, that you're learning on, is like really old, then I feel that people switch off. So like with the 3D printer, like let's say if you wanted to go through, and someone said to me the other day, and they said, oh, I would like to set up a sensor. That would be really good. Like if we could create this sensor that could that we could put in the soil and understand what the nitrogen content is, and do we need to fertilize this part or not. And you think about it, the person was actually testing it in Minecraft, and in a game he was testing that theory and going, well, okay, this would work, and then he would create a 3D printed thing from it, and then go, okay, now I'm going to put it down and have a look. So by taking that prototyping kind of route, you can engage people quite a bit as well. Using good tech is important.
Yeah, so just showing the rangatahi what's out there is a big one. Because me personally, when I was in high school, I thought the only things within tech to do is coding or graphic design. But like now that I'm studying where tech is a broad thing now, they're teaching me it's a broad thing. Like I go to the supermarket and I go to self-checkout and I'm like, wow, this machine probably has some code in it that shows me the buttons and stuff. So like just seeing like now that I am a part of the tech sector, like it's easy to see like how much tech is around me. So yeah, I think just showing rangatahi what is out there and what they can do could be quite inspiring. Do you have any thoughts, Cassio?
Understanding whether there's a skill that they have or an idea or something that they enjoy that can transfer over into tech. Like if they like watching anime, then you could be like, oh, you know, you could become a graphic designer and design your own mangas yourself or comics, you know, those types of things. Or, you know, you like gaming, you could become a game developer and work on creating your own game, something like that. Yes, I think getting to know your rangatahi and understanding whether tech is something for them or whether it's not, because tech isn't for everybody, but there's a big lot of people who have skills that can transfer into tech as well.
Speaking of that, from your experiences, what advice would you give to those who are interested in pursuing a career in tech?
I think you've just got to give it a shot. I think the worst thing, and this is coming from a 23-year-old who tried out something who was like 2 years out of not being eligible for the course, of like, just have a go. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to spend 6 months on something that you find, oh, that's not actually for me. Or you're going to be 3 years later working for your iwi, you know. So I think you've just got to you've just got to try it out and see whether it's something that you want to do. Because, like you said, you thought that tech was 2 branches, and really there's so many different branches that it goes out to. And you might find that, okay, I'm going to be a coder 100%, and then 6 months down the line you're a web developer or you're a web designer, sorry. So I think just trying to have a go and try and learn new skills, because the worst thing that happens is you learn something new.
Yeah, and I think people surprise themselves when they get into the sector or when they start learning, especially if the learning is something that suits them, like suited to their needs kind of thing. They go, oh, I never thought that this was the way to deal with it. Or this is how we could do that part. Or, you know, whether I'm a detailed person or I'm a creative person or I'm a logical person, I'm an analytical person. Like, there are so many things that you could do.
Adapting and persevering with like troubles that you encounter, or if there's just like a hurdle you've encountered and it's like, damn, I really wanted to go with this. This has just become a little too difficult. But maybe there's another option out there. That's where the adaptation comes in. But sometimes things can be scaled over. So with persevering with issues, finding a solution, whether that's by yourself or as a team definitely recommended. That's, in my personal experience, been a lot of things getting through some of those like trying moments with, especially in coding. Some of those trying times with like, trying to figure out what is the solution to the problem that I'm dealing with at the moment.
Shall we, with just about 5 minutes left, shall we take some audience questions if there are any? Yeah, go for it.
So I work for Wilder, and I've been working with rangatahi in schools. Like, it's often enough for you to go, oh, I'm interested in this, and I usually go, oh, I'm interested in health. How would you say you'd send a Taiwan to go explore different options in tech for them to see which areas they'd be more interested in? So when they leave school, they can then pursue those interests more further. Because like you said, sometimes the school's unable to offer those opportunities to explore tech, but then with Wilder we go do a bit more. So how would you best go, oh yeah, this would be like a cool place for you to just go see what tech is like in coding, software development, game development? Where would it be? Like, what would be good resources or stuff like that?
No, I'm just joking. There are lots of different ways to try and test something like that. So you can pretty much find a YouTube video for anything at the moment, right? You go on YouTube and you can find a way of, okay, how can I do this or how can I do that? I agree with you. I think there is from a tech sector perspective, especially in our region, I think there is a lot of work to be done. And I think this, events like this, Tech Step, where we can go through and talk about these things. And hopefully, this is a 3-year-long or 2-year-long sort of scheme for us as such. So this is the first or the second one in the last, or first event, I would say, that we're doing. Hopefully in the future we'll have more people going through and trying these things out. But yeah, at the moment the reasoning why we're all something to do with Learn-A-Me is because we're the only ones that are doing any technology pathways in the region. So come around. We've got taster courses, smaller, you could do a 2-day tasting and see if coding works for you. If not, then you can go into maybe hardware and have a look, and that works for you. Game development, if that works for you. So there are some programs that we've already started doing, and I think there is some amazing stuff, amazing things coming out for the intermediate part. Not from Learn-A-Me, not just from Learn-A-Me, but other providers as well that could really go through, and people that are thinking out of the box. There is a Taranaki-based initiative where they're teaching AI, marine biology, and things like that in that intermediate system, wildlife AI. They do a really good job. There's another one that I had a chat with just today. They're trying to use Minecraft to make the next generation of farmers, right? So and encourage people in farming through Minecraft, a game that the kids play. So there is a lot of different ways to deal with it, and gateway pathway programs. So from a school perspective, you can do a gateway pathway program with a technology company and understand what that will be. We got Shakalia through the accelerator program, which was another different way of dealing with it. So there are heaps of initiatives. It's just the motivation from a rangatahi perspective on going, well, I would go out and take a chance, like Cassio said and Shakalia said. Cool. Please.
What kind of specific things are you seeing going obsolete at the moment as far as teaching rangatahi? As far as AI now and, say, Photoshop skills, when they can now just go into Mid-Journey and get what they want. Certain types of languages where they can just ask AI and it'll code it up for them.
Yeah, so there is a lot. Cassio's listening intently to this one. There is a lot of, I wouldn't say conspiracy, but there is a lot of bad knowledge out there as well. AI is no way in shape or form can replace developers. What it can do is it can supplement and it can speed up. It's a tool. Like when we went from hammers to drill machines, we didn't say, oh, we don't need any builders anymore because a drill machine's going to drill everything on its own. You still need someone to hold it and drill it. It just lets you do more with those things. In terms of teaching, I would say, I think one thing we do a lot is I find there are year 11, year 12 students that are still doing Scratch. They start working on Scratch when they're 7 years old, and they're still doing Scratch when they're 14, 15 years old. There has to be a little bit of you need to sort of graduate onto better tools and a bit more of a challenge, a bit more of a, what else could you use? There is Swift Playgrounds that you could use. There's all of them, Apple, Microsoft, and Google, all three of them have a lot of different technologies coming out that are aimed at students and aimed at school students. There's a lot of that. But yeah, AI is going to, I think if we use it as a tool and not think as, hey, it's going to replace the teachers, it's not. I don't think anyone can. Need way more teachers than what we've got right now. But the thing it would make is really help the teachers to cater to different needs the way that they couldn't do earlier, where they had to come up with everything. Now you can, for teachers using it, a student comes to them and says, hey, I've got this problem. I don't understand the way that you've given it to me. In the past, the teacher will go, oh, I have to go through and do some research and find this out and that. Now you can feed that into AI and say, hey, this is what my problem is. I'm trying to do this with a student. Can you give me some ideas on how I can do it? So instead of you taking 2 days to help a student, now you can do it in 2 hours. So I think that's what we really need to look at, not what it's gonna replace us. Did that answer your question? Yeah, cool. Anyone else?
Do you know if there's anything, big shifts happening? But at the moment, to my knowledge, there's not a lot happening.
There are some big changes coming, and I think we do need some big changes. Like, there are some amazing people doing some really good stuff at that level, but it's really not helping our schools the way it should. And I think we're putting too much pressure. It's just my personal opinion, not LearnMe's opinion, but that we are putting too much on our schools, asking them to do a lot when, like the digital curriculum was a perfect example. It's well and good putting a policy in place and saying, hey, we need to teach tech. Every school needs to teach tech. Teachers are not upskilled. It's 3 years into that digital curriculum, and we still don't have enough teachers to teach that part. So it's sort of like, building the plane while in flight. So there is a lot of that work that needs to happen, and it's not a short-term thing. It's not going to happen in a year. It's not going to happen in 18 months or 2 years. We need to be able to go through and have that long-term and look at it that way. But yeah, there is and I don't think we need to change the whole framework and go, well, okay, let's just throw it out and let's put more structure in place. If we do that, it might work for literacy, it might work for numeracy. Not saying that it would work, but it may work for them. But for technology, it wouldn't. So the only way we would be able to go through and teach technology the right way is to keep things broader rather than focused. Because then that way we are leaving that room for our educators to do the right thing the way that they want to do it. And maybe change the things to what they want to do. If there is a new technology coming out, teachers should have the ability to teach it that way, rather than writing it into a unit standard that you have to use Microsoft Office 2016, when 2016 was 7 years ago, right? There's no point doing that. We should just have broader factors and work it that way. So a structure is important, but a rigid structure for teaching technology is, I think, is not the greatest way of dealing with it.
I hope you enjoyed hearing from Simon, Christian, Shakalia and Cassio. If you would like to find out more about the TechStep initiative, please go to techstep.nz or reach out to me, Jo, at the Taranaki Chamber of Commerce.